Hello everyone, this is Kaufecake, and welcome to Wurm Online. If you've never played or even heard of this game before, it was actually created by Rolf Jensen and Marcus Pearson, more commonly known as Notch, in 2006. You may know Notch from his much better follow-up project, Minecraft. Wurm and Minecraft share some major similarities. Both are open-world sandbox survival games, and both have a fairly unique crafting system. And while there are some minor similarities as well, the biggest difference between Wurm and Minecraft are the pace of play and the skill system. Minecraft has no skills, whereas there are 128 different skills in Wurm, and you cannot unlock the ability to make every item or do every action until you make progress in those skills. This is a big part of what causes a slower pace of play than Minecraft. I have personally played Wurm since October of 2007, and I immediately fell in love with the ability to mold the world to your liking. While I have many characters, I have two mains, one on each of the major server clusters, Northern Freedom Islands, or NFI for short, and Southern Freedom Islands, or SFI for short. There is a lesser played cluster called Epic, where skill gain is different, and there are a few other tweaks as well. NFI actually released at the same time that Wurm released onto Steam, and then based on the demand at the time, they were actually opening 3 different servers: Harmony, Melody, and Cadence. Cadence is where I play my main and regularly stream on this channel from. So that brings me to the topic of this series and what my intent is. Ultimately, I want to increase exposure to the game and drive interest to a game that I love and do it in a unique fashion. Typically, a new account would start with a decent amount of options when they leave Tutorial Island. But what happens if they don't have those items? What happens if they place them in a chest and they died away from their base? Sure, you can ask for help in the Kingdom chat channel, and the community will help you out. Shout out to the Wurm community. Y'all are incredibly helpful, accepting and welcoming to new beginners. But I want to personally show you what the journey of a self-imposed restriction of being an Ironman is and how that story unfolds. I believe this story will have sagas where my character will slowly become more powerful and able to accomplish a multitude of tasks, ultimately ending in self-sufficiency. Each saga will have clear goals, which will be explained later on, and it's my intention that I document each day journey in a captain's log or a diary style format, with a complete day taking 3 hours in real life. So without further ado, hey everybody, Editor Kaufecake here. Upon editing this footage, I realized I was recording with the wrong account. So CoffeeCam 3 is actually my camera account that follows IronKaufe around. So that's what's the mess up here. So without further ado, meet IronKaufe. He is a new character fresh off Tutorial Island and wants to strike out and make his mark on the world. But first, he needs to get rid of all of his possessions. A few items will remain as you're unable to drop them. But the only one that's worth of note is the tent. Everything else will be dropped on the ground, right here in the starting village. The tent we will hold on to, but we won't use until later on, until we get the skill required to make one. So IronKaufe's first goal will be to set out and get some tools and go out in search of a place to set down roots. To start, we will need to find some branches, and this can actually be done by foraging on trees and bush tiles. We'll be also looking to botanize and find some other useful ingredients. Both foraging and botanizing are useful for beginners to find resources, but due to this long process, I'll bring you guys back once we get some branches. Alright, so welcome back. That took a little bit of time to get some of the useful resources, but if you can see, I'm up to 9 branches. I also managed to find 3 pieces of cotton and 2 pieces of wemp and 2 rare 5 copper coins. So when foraging or botanizing, you have a chance to find rare coins. In this case, I've got 10 copper worth. You also might notice that there's 2 sleep powder in my inventory. During the break, I went to the Wurm store and bought 2 months premium. And with each month of premium, you get 1 sleep powder. Sleep powder is commonly sold, but in this case, I'm actually going to eat it so that I have 2 hours of sleep bonus that I will use later on. So at this point, since my inventory is so full, I'm going to drop a bunch of this stuff, and then everything you see in this HC category, I'm actually going to make healing covers out of. Not because I need to, but since I have them anyway, I might as well use them for that. I am going to keep the potatoes because those are decent food. And if I end up settling down and finding a place at this point, at least I have some starter crops. But so that's where I'm at. Let's drop this on the ground. Next step is I actually need to rummage on some rock tiles that I found, and I need to find both stone shards and iron rocks. Once I get that, I can actually start and make some crude tools, and then hopefully I can get to the point where I can go travel and go find a spot to set down roots. But I'm going to do some rummaging on some rock tiles, and I will bring you guys back after. All right, welcome back. So I just rummaged through this whole rock patch, and I ended up dropping 1 stone shard, but I've got a few stone shards, got some iron rocks. First thing I'm going to do is, I think it's this way. Yeah. Let's attempt to make a crude knife. That's the first step in making some crude tools. And nope. All right, let's try it again. Oh, there's no more iron there. Okay, so good thing we got extras. We will attempt it out of another one. I was hoping to use that 8 quality one to make the knife, but it'll be fine. And there we go. Okay, now we've got a crude knife. From there, the next step we need to do is actually make a bunch of crude tool parts. For this, we're actually going to use the crafting grid. First thing we're going to need is we're going to need an axe head. We're going to need some logs. And then after that, we're going to make a shovel head and a pickaxe head. The crude axe will allow us to actually chop logs down and chop them up. Maybe, if we can get through. And assuming we don't break the crude knife along the way, we will actually use that to make some shafts out of the branches, but it's not looking promising. Okay, we got a crude axe head. That's progress. And we're getting some masonry and some stone cutting skills. So after we get done with, actually hit cancel. I don't need another. I need a pickaxe head though. And then after a pickaxe head, we're actually going to get a shovel blade. And there's a pickaxe head. Now let's try the shovel blade. Just wanted to point out that I ended up saving 8 corn as well at the end, and the black mushroom, just because it worked out that way. I made all the rest in the healing covers and got some alchemy skill, but not super important, but it helps. So that should be all we need the stone shards from. That means we can get these out of the inventory and drop them on the ground. Okay, we're gonna end up keeping this iron because we are gonna melt it down and make some actual tools. But first things up, let's grab one branch and let's try and make a crude shaft. See, we need to make the crude shaft because then we actually get kindling out of it. If we make just the regular shaft, we'll just get the shaft. Or well, not kindling, wood scrap. So see, we got 1 kilogram of wood scrap and a 1 kilogram shaft, which is important because we're gonna need to start a fire eventually. And to start a fire, because we don't have a steel and flint yet, we actually will use a kindling on a wood scrap to create it. Fortunately enough, when we fail, we don't lose the branch. We just get damage on it, which at this point it's low quality, it's not a big deal. So there's a second crude shaft, and let's make another one. Alright, that is 3 crude shafts and 3 tools. Now let's combine them and make actual tools. The axe is done. And there's the crude pickaxe. And let's finish up the shovel. And there's a crude shovel. Alright, so now we have all 4 crude tools, and we have a wood scrap. Now let's actually make a kindling out of it. And since we have 1.5 kilograms left, let's make one more because in case we fail. And there we go. Now we have 2. So the next step we're actually going to need to do, we're going to need to go find and cut down a tree or find some logs on the ground. And then we're going to need to make a mallet. After we get a fire started, or before we start a fire, we're actually going to need to find more iron, because what we have isn't enough to make the tools we need to continue. Because ideally we'll get enough tools to replace the knife, the axe, the pickaxe, and the shovel we have. So that's going to be our next mission, is to find either an exposed vein or find one along the surface. We'll use prospecting for that, and if we don't find one with that, and we don't find one in a mine, then we're gonna have to come back to the drawing board. But I'm gonna go try and find an iron vein, and if I do, I will bring you guys back. Found an iron, just so conveniently happens to also be in the water. So we're gonna mine, and then we're gonna actually have to carry it up to the very surface, which kind of sucks, but we'll make do. We're only gonna need a little bit to get what we need, so let's mine a little bit, probably one action at a time, then climb up and drop it, and then run back. So this is gonna be a bit of a process, and then after this, we're gonna go find some logs and get that set up and actually start a campfire out outside. So the first mining action on the account. It's gonna take a while, and we're gonna do a lot of it, but there we go. Once we actually get 1.5 body, we are gonna run back and we're gonna go join a religion, and I'll explain more about that when I get there. All right, welcome back. So through that mining action, we ended up getting 12 rocks of iron. Before we do one more, we're gonna break the crude pickaxe. So from here, now what we're going to do is we're actually going to climb out and move this all out of the mine. And once we get up here, we're going to drop the iron rocks we have, because we want to have as much inventory space as possible. We're going to do that, and then step in, and then take out as many rocks as we can handle, and then we leave the cave, and we put it in there. Because, oh, there we go. We actually could. Alright, so at this point, now we have a good chunk of iron and some iron rocks and some kindling. And let's not forget some branches. We'll leave the branches in there too. But now we're going to need some logs to actually burn. And at this point, we can probably leave the crude pickaxe here, because it's not going to do much good for us. But now let's go use the crude axe, and let's go pick up a couple of logs to burn in the campfire. So once I get some logs and I bring them back, I will explain to you guys what tools we're going to start with and what the methodology I've got is. So it was a slow trug back, but I ended up finding 4 logs to use. So that brings me to a good point. Before I start this campfire, I'd actually really like to go find some clay to make some crude containers to bring some water with and to cook in. So before I actually make that fire, let's actually take the crude shovel, and we're gonna go for a walk and try and find something clay. So it was a bit down the coast, but I did find some clay to use. We'll use this spot real quick and get some clay so that we can make some rough containers. probably a couple of pots and a couple of jars. Either way, I will bring you guys back in a little bit once I get some clay collected and I run back. Alright, so we're halfway through the first day, and we basically just burned up half the shovel, but now we have 10 pieces of clay that we're going to drag back here with us, and we're going to make some pots and some jars, or some bowls and some jars, so that we can carry some water. And then once I do that, we're actually going to smelt down that iron we mined and make some beginner tools. So by the end of day 1, we should be pretty close to having some sort of sufficiency, but I'll bring you guys back in just a little bit. So I made a mistake. That was a setback. I accidentally used all of the shafts to make regular, or all of the branches to make regular shafts, and I didn't get enough wood scrap to actually start the fire. So now I'm gonna have to come over here and cut down some bushes to collect some wood scraps. And that's assuming that I can get bushes that are big enough and old enough to do that. So I may have to go and forage more branches because I made a mistake. So just a minor setback. You will have those in your long journey of playing Wurm. But I will bring you guys back once I get enough material to actually start the fire. Oh, P.S. I did end up hitting 1.5 body, and once I get the fire started, I am going to run back to Heartland on the Harmony server, which is the starting town that I ended up at, and I am going to pick a religion. Alright, so with another branch in hand, which took way longer than anticipated, and we're almost 2/3 of the way through the first day, we can actually attempt to make a campfire. So come here and let's take out all the wood scraps we got, and both kindling, and combine, and let's create a campfire. Oh, I failed. Alright, never mind. Back to the drawing board. Drop all that back over there again, and let's go get another branch. Okay, so I found two more branches, and now I have enough that I can definitely start a campfire. We're only at 2 hours and 6 minutes of the first day. So that's 2 hours and 6 minutes of the first 3 hours, and we're actually starting a fire. And just like that, we now have a campfire. All right, first thing we need to do is let's burn that. Okay. And then we can throw the rest of this junk in here. No, actually, we're gonna wait a little bit. So it's a 1 quality campfire, so it should burn for a little bit. Let's go like this and dump the iron ore. All right, there we go. All the iron ore and not all the iron rocks are in there. Now, while we wait, actually, before we do anything else, no. This is definitely the right option. We definitely need to make some pottery. There you go. Add the hand. Okay. So there's pottery bowls. There's a whole lot of pottery objects. We don't have the skill to make all of them, but pottery bowls allow you to cook, and pottery jars allow you to drag water. So we're actually going to make some jars first. And after we make some jars and we get them cooking, we're going to make a couple of bowls as well. So I will bring you back once we make a little bit of progress. It shouldn't be too long. All right, so we got all of the clay. We got 3 clay bowls and 3 clay jars in there. We got some of the iron starting to smelt up. So next thing we need to do is actually to make a mallet head. And just like that, we got a mallet head. Let's take the mallet head and let's create, go like this, and drag this because this could take more than one time. And we will combine those. And let's make a mallet. So when this all melts up, we should have 12, we'll have 18 kilograms of ore, of iron lumps to use. It's not going to be a ton. Oh, okay, well it melted, but it didn't go, it isn't glowing yet. Okay. So while we finish and let that go, I'm actually going to run up and go join a religion. So in Wurm, there are 4 primary religions. There's Libya, there's Foe, Mag, and Venora. Magaron is Mag for the Mag is short for Magaron. So the 4 religions, generally it's seen that Foe is the lover of nature, Vin is the skiller, and Mag is the fighter. And Lib used to just be a black light only. You only used to be able to get it on the PvP servers, but now that it's not, you can get Lib as well. In our case, we're actually gonna go, and where is it at? No, that's the trader, that's Jim Bob. So it's in here somewhere. But we're actually going to go with Mag because they provide a combat bonus. There we go, there's the religious advisor. Gives a combat bonus and makes you tougher. And starting out, we're really gonna need that. Let's become a follower, and there we go. We will become the follower of Mag. And let's pray. See, there we go. 1.0 alignment. So ultimately you want your alignment to be 100 to maximize skill gains in your deity's preferred skills. We're going to be a long ways off from that right now. I'm not too worried about it, but at least now we know where we're at. And once I pray, I'll run back down there, and there should be a, so the timer didn't pop up, but if you go like this and you go, not settings, wrong button, tools, timers, you will actually see that you've got the religion change and the faith timer up there. Faith and prayer work to be the same thing in this case. So I'm going to run back and I'm going to go tend my campfire, and hopefully everything is glowing by the time I get there. And I can make an anvil and start making tools. The goal of having all the tools done in the first day is probably not going to happen because I only got 45 minutes to get all the tools done before the second day. But I do have big plans for day 2, so I'll bring you guys back with a final summary once I get all the tools that I can make done. And just like that, that is the end of the first day. 2 hours and 58 minutes ago, I had nothing in my inventory besides a tent. And after 1 day's playtime, I have the baseline tools that you'll need to survive. I have a way to move some water. I have some large nails to build with. I got 15 copper worth of rare coins, some food, still have the tent. I have some cotton and wemp, and that's gonna be it for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This has been Kaufecake. Have a good one.